So let's talk about health over 40, because there is a difference. Once you reach age 40, most of us notice some type of change in our health status. It might be very subtle, or it could be something that's a lot more significant. But nevertheless, usually around the age of 40, we do start to notice some changes in our health. Particularly for women, one of the things that you may notice is a change in your metabolism and in your hormones. As we start to go into perimenopause, then all of these things start to collide and sometimes can wreak havoc on our bodies. But it's a natural process. It's going to happen. The most that you can do, and the best thing that you can do, is try to minimize the symptoms that you might have. And so there's some things that you can do for that. Everybody is different. So the first thing that I would say is, if you're noticing changes in your health, the first thing I'm going to recommend you do is go get a physical checkup. I am a true believer in annual checkups, and as I'm making this video right now, my annual checkup is scheduled for tomorrow. I take annual physicals and checkups very seriously, because you can walk around feeling like you're all good and never know what's going on inside your body. There's no way for you to know what's going on with your blood work, with your internal organs. And we don't want a situation where you're walking around thinking you're all good and you suddenly drop dead because you haven't seen a healthcare provider in God knows how long, and you're not aware of any potential threatening health situations that you may have. I recommend to everybody at least once a year. If you can't do it every year, then make it every other year. But I highly recommend that you start with a full physical with blood work. And I know for some of us out here, that's easier said than done. I 100% get that. I know that not everybody has access to healthcare providers. And to that, I would say, do the best that you can do. If you have insurance, if you're able to see a healthcare provider, like I said, I highly recommend that you do that. If you don't have insurance, check with the resources in your area and see what can be done. Oftentimes, there's a lot of services that can be provided for people who don't have insurance, but check it out. Try to get some information, do your research, and see what you can find, because it is so important. I can't overemphasize it, but it's so important that you start with a comprehensive healthcare checkup. So within lifestyle design, we're not just talking about physical health. The term that I use is holistic health, and that includes your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, and your emotional health. So it's not just about your physical body, though, like I just said, it's very important, but also we need to have as much concern about our mind as we do our physical body. So things like meditation, things like therapy, things like just basic mental health days. If you've reached a point where you had enough, you need a break, there's a lot going on in your life, I truly believe that you need to take that time for yourself. There is nothing that is going to save you once your mental health and your physical health get bad enough. So what we talk about here is more about prevention. We want to prevent catastrophic things from happening. And so sometimes what we can do is to take baby steps. So before you reach, the limits of what you can take in regards to mental health, take those 10 or 15 minutes. If you're a journaler, if you journal, write in your journal. That's helpful for a lot of people. That helps relieve your mind of some of the stress and the strain that you might be undergoing. It gets out those emotions, gives you a healthy way to release those emotions, which is important. Try to find healthy ways. There's many ways that people choose to relieve their tensions and their mental health ailments, as we'll call them, but try to find healthy ways to do it. Don't get yourself in a worse situation. Drinking comes to mind. Fine, have a glass of wine. I'm not saying you can't. You do you. But what I'm saying is, don't create a bigger problem for yourself down the line. Don't use that as a crutch to the point where now you have two problems, not just the mental health problems, but now you have a problem with the alcohol. So be mindful of that. We're all adults here. You do you, but I'm always gonna advise you to look for healthier ways to keep your mental health healthy. Meditation, yoga, breathing techniques work really well. Do your research again. Find something that works for you and makes sense for you, but do that. And I'm going to throw in therapy. I mentioned it earlier, but there is nothing wrong with talking to a therapist. I highly recommend it. I wish more people would talk to therapists instead of certain things manifesting in other ways. A good therapist could bring so much relief to your life. Look into that if that's something that you might be interested in doing as well. Also, when it comes to spiritual health, a lot of us have grown up in the church. A lot of us remain in the church or synagogue or temple or whatever spiritual practice that you do. But that's also another way to take care of your health. Utilize those resources. If praying works for you and you've been doing it all your life, then keep doing it. If it's working for you, if that's something that you feel a certain amount of comfort in, then just keep doing it. For people who don't maybe have a church home or anything like that, that's an option for you. Find one. See if that's something that works for you. I know everybody's not religious, but don't be afraid to explore other options. When we're talking about designing your life and your holistic health, lifestyle design is all about experimenting. That's all you're going to do. If you're going to design your life, you're going to be trying a bunch of different things to see what feels good to you. And if you've never experienced something, there's no harm in trying it. I've been to a number of different temples and churches and mosques and things like that. So don't be afraid. Take what works for you and leave what doesn't. If you find that's not your way, that's fine too. But I want to encourage you to not be afraid to try new things that maybe you haven't done before and to explore other possible solutions to help you as you start this journey to your holistic health wellness. So one thing when it comes to improving our health, one point that I really want to make in this video is we're not talking about perfection. Lifestyle design is not about perfection. It's about steps that you take to move toward your ideal. That's going to look different for everybody. There's no such thing as perfection. The only way that I use the word perfection is what's perfect for you, which is different for everybody. So there is no one path. And that's the beauty of lifestyle design. Like I said earlier, you're going to try new things. You're going to research, you're going to explore. This is a process of finding what works best for you. So don't get caught up in my health has to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be optimal for you. So somebody else's numbers may not be your numbers, but your numbers might be good for you. You understand what I'm saying? Don't compare yourself to other people. We don't do that here. Everybody is an individual, and so is your health. Your health is very individual. So your needs are not going to be exactly the same as someone else's. So keep that in mind. Throw perfection out the door. Here we focus on habits and baby steps to take us to where we feel good. And that's what matters. So going back to physical health, I want to talk about a couple of things that I think can really help everybody. And I know I just said everybody is different, everybody is unique, but we're also all human. And there are just some things that will benefit us all. And one of those things, of course, you've heard it a million times, is exercise. Now, as you get older, as you get over 40, exercise sometimes becomes a distant memory. We get locked into sitting at our desk at work. We get locked into driving in our car and going places and doing things. And we are just naturally not as physically active as we used to be when we were younger. I myself have not had a car. I think it's 14 years now that I haven't owned a car. And I have chosen to walk and take public transportation in an attempt to keep exercise as a part of my daily life. So when I go get groceries, I walk and I haul those groceries back. But that's just something I found that works for me and my lifestyle currently. But physical exercise is very important. You got to move your body. You got to get up. You got to walk around. You got to climb those stairs. And I know at the end of a long day, there's nothing you want more than to sit down somewhere and just relax. But you would be so shocked to know how much just a little bit of daily exercise can help your overall health. Like I said, when you get that physical exam from your healthcare provider, I'm willing to bet they're going to bring up exercise. They're going to tell you how important it is. So I'm just going to echo that, and I'm going to tell you that now. Exercise is important. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. You don't have to join a gym. The best thing that you can do is walk every single day. If you can get in a 30-minute walk a day, you are golden. That's not medical advice. That's just unconventional wisdom. Just start by walking. It's something that most of us can do. And if you can do it, I highly recommend it. The other thing that you hear all the time, and I'm gonna mention it here, is eating healthy. Now, I know for me, when I was younger in my 20s, I could eat whatever I wanted. I stayed slim, I stayed thin, I stayed active, never really had health problems, thankfully. But as I got older, things changed. And like I said, after 40, a lot changed. I can't eat the way that I used to. And I don't just mean like volume. There's certain foods that I'm very sensitive now to. Things that I used to eat all the time now seem too sweet for me, or too salty, or too this or too that. I'm very sensitive in my taste now. And also my digestive system has decided that it doesn't like certain things that I used to eat all the time. That's a bummer, but you got to listen to your body. You got to do what your body wants you to do, and you got to pay attention to what your body needs. This is the only body that you're going to have, so you have to take care of it. And eating good, wholesome, healthy foods is key to that. Try to stay away from a lot of processed foods. Try to eat foods in their natural state, vegetables and fruits and whole grains. You hear this all the time, so I'm not going to dwell on it. Do your research. Find a way of eating. I'm not going to call it a diet. I'm going to call it a way of eating that is suitable for you. Personally, I really enjoy the Mediterranean diet because it contains enough variety of healthy foods that I feel it's sustainable for me. So do your research, find something that works for you. Learn to cook Cooking is one of the best things that you can do because you know exactly what goes into the food that you're eating, and you know what kind of ingredients and the quality of those ingredients and what you're putting in your body. As much as you can, try to cook at home. Also, a benefit of cooking at home is it can be a lot cheaper. If you're buying whole foods, a lot of times it can be easier on the budget, and it will stretch a lot further than buying kind of individual or fast food or processed food meals and things like that. So look into that. There's lots of good places you can find recipes with TikTok, Instagram, here on YouTube. There's lots of places you can find good recipes. So again, like I always say, lifestyle design is about experimenting. Find something that works for you. Another thing that we need to pay attention to is sleep. We are living in a modern world. It is fast paced. It is go, go, go. And with modern jobs, we're expected to be accessible all times of the day and night. But there needs to be some boundaries. You have to get sleep. And I don't mean just any kind of sleep. I don't mean sitting on the couch like grandpa nodding off, every 5 minutes with your head jerking. That's not sleep. Good in the bed, in a cool, dark room, comfortable, and just really having a good night's sleep for at least 7 to 9 hours is what the experts recommend. Again, I don't give medical advice. Find what works for you. But what I do know is that sleep is reparative. Like, we need that to repair our bodies. We need that sleep to give our bodies a chance to recuperate. So don't, you hear people say all the time, you can sleep when you're dead. Okay. Okay, you're going to be dead a lot sooner trying to get away from sleeping. Sleeping is important. And anybody who knows me knows that I love to sleep. Sleeping is one of my favorite pastimes. Do what you can. Rearrange your day. Create a schedule that allows for good quality sleep. Now, I know there are times in our lives where we get a little bit busier, and you may have to sacrifice some sleep here and there for a little while, but don't make it a regular thing. Like a short little time period because you've got something that really needs to get done and you really don't have a choice. But don't extend that out further and further, because you will find that lack of sleep does really affect your health in a negative way. So good sleep, I'm telling you, it's the best. Another thing that I'm going to really ask you to reduce in your life is stress. And it's funny that I'm asking you to reduce stress because I need to reduce stress, and I have a hard time doing that. I've been told that by doctors for years. I don't really know how to do that. So if you know how to do that, then you give me some advice and some help, because I've tried a number of things and my body is always on a fight or flight mode. I'm always revved up, and it's hard for me to pull that down and relax. I don't know how to relax. What is relaxing? I try. Funny story, I went to a yoga class several years ago, but I went to a yoga class that was focused on breathing and meditation and supposed to help you focus on relaxation. I could not do it. My mind would not shut off. I'm in these poses all bent over, and I'm thinking about what I need to get at the grocery store. My mind just goes to the next thing. There is no off button. And that's a problem, because I know for a fact that it does affect my health. And so it's something that I have to really work on. I'm going to practice what I'm telling you, and that is baby steps. I need to find the first thing that I can do to help me relax. And like I mentioned before, I love to sleep. So sometimes if I'm really stressed out, I'll just take a nap. And that is my way of resting and getting some relaxation and trying to minimize the stress that's in my life. Stress kills. It really does. It may not kill you today, but it's going to catch up with you down the line if you don't do something about it. And I want you to be around here for a very long time. So do what you can to reduce the stress in your life. We'll talk about a lot of other things throughout this series, but some of the ways you can reduce stress through lifestyle design, surprise, and figuring out what fits your life best and what are some things that are causing you some stress that you might need to eliminate from your life that can really help you a lot. So let's talk about the habits. The habits are important, okay? Because that's how you get from A to Z. Remember, I said we don't do perfection around here. We build habits. We do baby steps. So one of the things that you can do is to start small. I mentioned this all throughout the video. Start small. Find one thing. Don't go and try to change everything. Don't start trying to run 5 miles and go to church 3 times a week and sleep for 12 hours a day. Don't do that. That ain't gonna get you nowhere. It's gonna cause you to give up and not do anything at all. And that's not what we want. So take baby steps. Pick one thing. Pick one thing to focus on first. And then once you get that, and that becomes a habit, then you can move on to the next thing. But don't try to do too much too soon, too fast. If you ain't moved in the last 15 years, honey, take it slowly. Take it slowly. Go walk around the block, as long as it's not a big block. But walk to your mailbox if it's at the end of the driveway and come back. And do that for a couple of days, and then walk a little bit further, and then a little bit further. Or extend your sleep time by 10 minutes until you work up to the optimal number of hours for you. Don't make this a big deal that will cause you more stress. That doesn't help us. Like that puts us right back to where we started, and if not, in a worse position. So don't give yourself more stress. We're trying to reduce the stress. So baby steps, a little bit at a time, and pace yourself. 2 other things I've found that can really help. 1 is accountability, and 2 is tracking your journey. So accountability works for a lot of people. And if you have a friend or a neighbor and you can say, hey, you know what, I'm starting to walk 10 minutes a day. I'm going to work my way up to 30 minutes a day, but we're going to start with 10 minutes a day. And if you can have that friend or that neighbor as an accountability buddy, and you have to show up for each other, and then you can do this together, you're much more likely to succeed. Because if you're anything like me, I let myself off the hook all the time. And so I really need to be pushed on certain things. And if this is a change that you really want, not everybody is internally motivated. Some of us need a little bit of accountability from an outside source to say, hey, Kim, you said you was going to walk 10 minutes a day. Where you at? I'm waiting on you. Let's go. Okay. If you know you're the kind of person who needs somebody like that in your life, find them. Get a coach, get a friend, like I said, get a neighbor, get your children, whomever. But do that, because this is something you're doing for yourself. Again, it's a baby step, but baby steps lead to longer term habits, and that's what we're looking for. Along with that, track your journey. You get a lot of motivation from seeing yourself go from point A to point B to point C and so on. Okay. When you start to see the changes that have occurred and you can really map that out, that's something that provides motivation for a lot of people. And that's why when you start like a diet or something like that, one of the first things they tell you to do is take a photo of yourself, because you're doing the baseline. This is where we're starting. And then we're going to check back in every week, and we're going to look and we're going to see, has anything changed? Okay. So this is the same thing. As you start to improve your health, as you start to change your habits, look at what you're doing. This will also make it easier for you to tell whether it works or not. So you don't go on and on with something that really might not be working for you and you might need another option. So track that journey. There's tons of trackers out there that you can use depending on what your goal is. But use that so you can see that what you're doing is making a difference. And for a lot of us, we need that. We need to see that in order to keep going. All right, so we've covered a lot of things in this video, and I hope you found value. And I'd really like for you to start this journey toward holistic health. It's important. It's one of the key components of the Wheel of Life and lifestyle design. And I covered all the categories of the Wheel of Life in the last video. So if you didn't see that video, go and watch that video because it gives a brief overview of the lifestyle design process. And so this is one of the categories, holistic health, that's key to helping you design your ideal life. So down in the comments, tell me, what is it you're going to work on? How are you planning to improve your holistic health? What area are you planning to focus on first? Is it going to be your physical health? Do you need to focus on mental health or spiritual health? Remember what I said, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't try to do everything all at once. So down in the comments, let's start a discussion. Tell me, what is it that you would like to improve in regards to your health? And also tell me, what challenges are you having? Have you tried to do it before and failed? If so, what's going to make it different this time? So look forward to seeing your comments. Thank you for watching the video. And if you know a woman who is wanting to upgrade her holistic health, then share this video with her. I'll see you in the next one.